Police in several jurisdictions tonight are hoping Wadsworth cops have been able to do what they haven't, come up with a suspect in a string of rather unusual armed robberies at area restaurants that's gone on for weeks.
I'm a middle child, so I had a middle child personality, kind of like a loner, for lack of a better word. I didn't make friends easily and things of that nature, but I was an average kid, really.
He was a healthy baby and a strong baby, too, when he was born, because I remember times he would get sick, and no matter how sick he would be, he would always just kept a smile on his face. As Richard was growing up, he was always a smart boy. I know he probably got it from his father.
My father was what they would call back in the days a flat-foot hustler. He didn't do one particular crime. He would do a plethora of different types of crime that would bring whatever he needed to do to, make money, to pay the bills. Me and my brother were one of the few children in the projects who pretty much, if we wanted it, we could get it.
I remember my father took me to the grocery store and he went and stole some chicken. So in order to, cover up the bowls, he picked me up and carried me and we walked out the door. And it just so happened that pack of chicken busted and one of the chicken legs was sliding down his leg. My father, I can easily sum him up in, a sentence, do as I say, not as I do. That's his famous line. He would tell me, go to school, but he didn't finish school. He would tell me not to sell drugs, but he sold drugs. Tell me not to drink, but he drank.
Richard was real smart, and he liked his school, too. He was 3 years old, but he looked like he was 7 or 8 because of his height. And I was able to get Richard in school at the age of 3 years old.
It wasn't cool to be the smartest guy in the class. I was in a math contest. I got a big trophy, but on the way home from the contest, I was really proud of myself, but the dudes on the bus, some of my so-called friends, they made fun of it. And one of the guys, he was a bigger guy than me, and he flicked the top of the trophy and part of it fell off, I wanted to cry, but if I cried, it made it worse. The peer pressure made it to the point where I couldn't find a place that I had control over and excel, that I would hide my intelligence.
When I was growing up, the North Side was my world. As far as our community, everybody looked out for each other. North Side was basically like a family. Wherever you went, you was home.
Oh, Charlie was a pretty good boy and had a lot of friends. He was a good son.
When we were young, it was wonderful. And in our house, I don't think we really wanted for too much. We was a tight-knit group. My mother and grandmother always made sure we got along. One time when I was young, my mother gave us all $5, and I was the oldest, and I had spent my money. And I remember I wanted some of my brother Rex's money, and he wouldn't give it to me. And I remember I told him I hated him. And he went and told my mother, and she told me, "This is your brother. You always love him, and you don't ever tell him you hate him." And I remember I told him I loved him, and we was both in the middle of the kitchen hugging each other, crying. I liked school, I say, probably till I got to high school, because, you saw people dropping out like the 11th grade, selling drugs, having money and cars and everything. And being young at that time, you looking at the situation like, what is the purpose of me being up in here? I'm not getting no money out of this. That was around 87 when that stuff called crack came that we weren't familiar with. At that time, we didn't know what it did, the laws about it, nothing would have happened to you. I just looked at something that was no value to me, and somebody told me I could get some money.
Oh my goodness. Donovan was just a typical child. Nothing extraordinary, just typical boy.
Mom was the sole provider for us. You would see her come in from work, lay down for a couple hours, get up, go back to work, plus going to school. And at the time, I didn't understand it. I don't think I met my dad till I was 16. I wanted a dad so bad growing up. I used to lie about having a dad. I mean, this is crazy. At one time, I wish that my mom would have been like, how would I say, like a junkie type. I wish my mom would have been doing bad, because I felt like if she was doing bad, she would have been there with us.
And the reason why it was like that is because I did not want to raise my children on welfare. And I wanted my kids to be able to go to college. So I chose to sacrifice when they were younger so that things would be better for them as they got older.
Growing up, my mother, one thing that she always taught us was whatever happens in this house stays in this house. When you step outside the doors, you don't let people know you're doing bad like that. You know what I'm saying? If the heat cut off, you don't let people know the heat cut off. So it gives the perception of, oh, they're doing so good, or they got this and they got that. And I grew up all my life with people feeling like, well, Donovan got this, or Donovan is a good guy, or Donovan's family got money, or Donovan's mom is doing good. And that was so far from the truth.
We had a motto when we were at home. We would all stand with our back toward each other. And I would let them know, as long as we're like this, nobody can get to us. You asked me about when he was young. You could never be mad at him. A prime example, his sister and I were sitting in the den watching TV, and all of a sudden he comes flying through the dining room, and he's dressed like Prince, and he's singing, Purple Rain or something. And we just started laughing. You could never be mad at him.
I was so directionless out here. You know, even though I had good influences in my life as far as my family, I paid that no attention. In school, I never said I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. I never wanted to be that stuff. I see my mother working herself to death. Why am I gonna work myself to death?
Boy,
What did you do?
you couldn't have been no more than 10, huh?
This picture right here, I got one of Snoop on the couch.
Oh
with the-
yeah,
with the
and he
two
got the peace
fingers.
sign up.
I don't know what I did with it though, but this one reminds me of
Oh, okay.
Snoop. There's my brother, just not a care in the world. Usually, nothing really bothered him.
No.
You know, he just kind of, just very resilient as a kid.
He was a good little boy. He always loved trucks and cars. He loves to go outside and play on his big wheel when he's little. He gets him a bowl of cereal and he'll be outside all day. You can't get him in.
He was always the brother that would basically pick on me. Me and him would fight all the time. So I just remember those times. They were good times, just being kids.
He would go fishing with me. We would go out in the boat. We used to catch him by the buckets for him. Those were the good times to me, you know.
I had a real good relationship growing up with my family. Sometimes I try to still figure out where I went wrong because honestly, I don't know. I guess I just have to blame it on my obsession with cars. Me and my father did everything together. Things that guys wish they had a father for, you know, the fishing trips, the basketball games, the football games, the taking me to work, to, you know, showing me responsibility and things like that at a young age. When you're locked up, it's not always about me. It's about the people that love me, the things that they go through by me being here. When I'm in here and you got people in the street that love you, they actually in the prison itself. That's a prison.
I knew something wasn't right when Charlie came through my neighborhood and he was driving a new car. I thought to myself, he's doing something I ain't doing. So when I got in the car, I just told him, hey man, cut me in or cut it out. He said, man, you gotta holler at Frankie. So I went to holler at Frankie about it. He said, man, it's okay, we getting money.
Everybody out there and you in the life and this fast money and everything, you just wanna have the cars and everything else like that, just like everybody else. It was just caught up in a fad.
I knew we needed things at home. My mother wasn't doing too good with her job and everything, and I felt like I should contribute in some way. But people say get a job and everything, and then you knew what jobs paid, then you knew you had to wait a certain amount of time before you got paid. A problem didn't come up 2 weeks later. The problem is right now.
It was like two sides of me. It was this Donovan over here that my family knew, good Donovan, nice Donovan. But then it was this side of Donovan that was trying to hustle in the street, selling dope, and eventually robbing, sneaking out the house after my mom would go to bed.
I never looked at selling drugs as a career. I just looked at it as a way, you know, to be able to do things I wanted to do. But it's not like I looked for a future in it. So when people was getting shot and robbed and killed about and everything, I felt, you know, that I didn't want to be involved with that too much no more. But yeah, and still I was having all this money, and going from having it and not having it, that's a drastic change. So
Right, I mean, I went to the petty drug dealing and stuff like that after the juvenile thing. Then I decided that was slow and I wanted it a little bit more quicker. So then I just devised a plan to start robbing. I used to work at this one place. I knew when they take the money to the bank. After I got fired, I decided that would be what we would call a good come up. and we said to buy some time to get away, we was gonna put them in the cooler.
Police in several jurisdictions tonight are hoping Wadsworth cops have been able to do what they haven't, come up with a suspect in a string of rather unusual armed robberies at area restaurants that's gone on for weeks.
Since the beginning of the summer, robbers have made their mark on the restaurant industry by entering places like McDonald's, Bob Evans, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Burger King, rounding up all the employees and putting them in a walk-in freezer, then making off with the cash in the safe.
When they told me what was going on, how they was getting the money, I was like, man, y'all going to jail. They're like, man, we ain't gonna get caught. I'm like, man, y'all going to jail. So it was a couple weeks. Both of them then flipped, 2 new cars and everything, jewelry and all this stuff, they buying all that stuff. So it came to the point where like selling drugs looked like it was a job, like this was easier. Then it was nobody getting hurt and everything. I'm like, man, I'm telling you, man, you ain't got to worry about getting killed doing this. And the first one, it was like I was so unfamiliar with what was going on, and it was like it was surreal, like it was everything was moving in slow motion. And I remember when I was leaving out, I slipped and damn near hit my head. And right then, after I got the money, I said, yeah, I ain't doing this no more. We going to jail for this, man, we get caught. But it was the greed.
By the time I got involved with the Cooler Bandits situation, the whole robbery situation, my perception was so distorted about how I looked at life that, to me, making money was the end-all, be-all. I wanted to be rich by any means necessary. And at the time, it really didn't matter who I hurt. When they came and got me, we riding in Frankie's car, and we're listening to music, and everybody's quiet. And in my mind, I was a little nervous. And when they got out the car, they started walking towards the restaurant. I'm like, hey, hold on. Y'all about to go in there without a mask on? You gotta put a mask on. You don't want them to see your face. I remember when we was kids, we used to play this game where we played the ninja, like we were ninjas, and you would take your t-shirt off, you put it over your head, and you tie the sleeves behind your head, and then you look like you have a ninja mask on. And we waited till one of the employees came to go to work, and when they buzzed to get in, walked up behind him with the gun.
I was working a drive-through. I still had my headset on. While I was washing down the grill pieces, I saw some coworkers walking in a single file line going toward the cooler. But I didn't think anything of it. I don't know why I didn't. And then I saw somebody that didn't work there, which I thought was kind of weird, but I still didn't think anything. So then he looked at me, and then I noticed he had a gun that was across his shoulder, and he just pointed the gun at me and motioned for me to like get in line with my coworkers.
You don't really think about the person. In order for you to do something like that to a person, in order for you to do any type of crime or violence to somebody, you got to dehumanize the people. You don't even look at them as like they victims or anything like that. They're just in your way.
I'm thinking he's behind me while I'm walking to the cooler, and I want to say to him that I have a young family, a husband, but then I could just envision my blood being splattered all over the wall. So I said, he doesn't care anything about me and my family, so I just didn't say anything.
We had guns to people. I mean, you got 3, 4, 5 young guys running up in the place where you're trying to earn a living at, and they putting guns to you, telling you to get down or telling you to get in the cooler.
Even though we had no intentions of hurting nobody, they didn't know that. So I remember the looks in their eyes and really the fear I had, because you know you don't want anything to go wrong.
We got in the cooler and we started praying. God, am I gonna make it out? You know, am I gonna live to see my family again? Just praying that God would just watch over us and protect us. Then it started getting cold, and I was like, oh my God, are we gonna freeze to death?
I was an employee of Art's Place, which was one of the restaurants that was hit by the Cooler Bandits. I worked on the night shift cleaning crew. This night, This was just a regular, normal night, and you know, what we would do is we would sit in the bar area, and there was a television, and we would just wait for our shift and people to come in towards the end of the shift once we were done, and this was one of those nights we finished up early. Edith and Elsie, they were the cooks. That would be the first people we would see, and they had a key to the back. We got a knock on the front door, which was weird. It never happened to me before. And I had seen Edith. I was like, oh, wow, she must have forgot her key. And as soon as I got close to the door and ready to put the key in, out jumped this guy with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mask on. And I was like, whoa. And at first I was like, you know, I was surprised and I kind of laughed. I was like, ah, you got me. You know, I mean, but, you know, this was, you know, a 65-year-old lady, and you know, then it all clicked. I was like, wow, something's going on here.
Art's Place, located at Waterloo in Maine, was the latest target this morning. Manager Jean Tice was getting the restaurant ready to open when she saw something unusual.
And a few minutes later, I see a couple Ninja Turtles with a gun, and I think their kids are playing games, our cleanup boys. And the next thing I know, one is in the office telling me he wants the money, and I said, you're kidding. Get the money. He said, I want the money.
We were all stunned. I mean, this all happened within probably 30 seconds. I was so freaked out by what had just happened. Wow, I can't believe this just happened. I remember looking over at my friend Jim, and me and him just kind of looked at each other for a minute, and then we started laughing because of what happened. I mean, it was just so chaotic, and just, I can't believe this just happened to us.
For about 3 to 4 years, I was real, I would get real anxious when I would see young men in baggy clothing, shirts and pants. I had to get out the area because that was the way that the young man was dressed. And when I could be sitting in a restaurant and I would just tell my husband, I can't eat, I'll wait for you in the car. Because I felt like they were gonna shoot.
Unfortunately, some people, you know, were probably scarred more than me, and I feel for them. But me personally, I treasure talking about that story because you know, it's kind of a cool story.
Wadsworth police arrested 18-year-old Donovan Harris of Akron on a charge of aggravated robbery and placed him on a $50,000 bond.
The string of restaurant robberies throughout 4 counties in which employees were forced into kitchen coolers is closer to being solved tonight.
Arlington Road, located just off Route 77, proved to be a vital link in this investigation, with not all but most of the 17 robberies occurring within this general area, providing a safe haven for the robbers. But this easy access also proved to be their undoing.
Frankie called me. He tell me just drive for him. I'm like, man, I ain't doing that no more, man. He like, man, you know the police looking for me, man. He was like, man, I put you on to this. Poochie in the background saying, no, I'm on the phone. And I'm like, man, I'm just gonna drive for you. He like, all right. So I drive for him. We go back to the motel. We split up the money. I'm about to leave. Me and Poochie. He like, just stay here with me till the morning.
I wanted to leave, but Charlie wanted to, you know, stay and wait with Frankie till his ride got there. By the time it was time for us to go, I think I had looked out the window and saw the police outside.
I see Pooch looking out the curtain. Then he turned around and look at me like, man, come here. I stand up and I look. And there's so many police cars out there. Then he like, look this way and I see about 6 detective cars. I'm like, man, who they here for? He like, who you think they here for?
I figured, in my mind, that if I get caught in this room with all this money and these guns, then there's no way out of it for me. So I decided I'm gonna go see if the police was still out there. So I told them I'm gonna walk to it's a McDonald's in that same area. And when I got outside, the police was kind of like hid between the motel and the restaurant. So if you came outside, you wouldn't see him. So when I seen them, my first instinct was to run and just leave, you know, Charlie and Frankie in the motel. But because Charlie and I go so far back, my loyalties to him wouldn't allow me to just leave him or abandon him like that. But as soon as I went into McDonald's, the police surrounded me and they took me to the police car.
We in there wondering what we gonna do. Frankie like they got us. I'm like, no, they got you. They come knocking on the door. Frankie about to open the door. I'm trying to I'm flushing money down the toilet, stuffing it down the air conditioner. I'm looking for a way out this motel room. It's not a back door or nothing. So Frankie like, man, they got us. I'm gonna open the door. I'm like, man, don't open that door. He opened the door and say, what's up? They snatch us out there, put guns to our head, put us on our knees, and that it was over with.
At the hotel, investigators were greeted at the door by 18-year-old Frankie Porter of Akron, wanted in all 4 counties in this investigation. Also arrested were 18-year-old Richard Roderick of Akron and 20-year-old Charles Kelly, also of Akron.
It's always in the back of your mind when you're doing something wrong, but to actually think I ever see prison, I was one of the few out there who was growing up. I'm like, man, I'm never going to prison yet. I was one of the first ones.
Detectives were able to retrieve thousands of dollars believed to be from Art's Place, a .38 caliber gun used in the holdup, and the turtle masks. The trio will now appear in Barberton Municipal Court tomorrow.
When I got out there and saw how many police and everything that was out there just for us, like we was on a murder spree or something.
I mean, this was a serious case at the time. By today's standards, it's not, but 91, Cooler Bandits, robbery.
When I got arrested, first thing on my mind is, man, I'm tripping. I know better than this. A lot of guys feel like it's just part of growing up. It's part of the life cycle for them.
You know, the hardest thing for me as a mother was when Poochie got in trouble. It was very hard for me. It looked if though someone took something out of my life.
It was really a shock to me to know that he would, you know, be into that kind of mess.
Charlie had never been in any trouble. It was just so unbelievable. Just tore me to pieces.
Devastated was the word. I would think, you know, it's like, no, someone's made a mistake. And then when I found out someone did make a mistake, that's when I had to really reach way down. And what I had believed all my life, how the Lord doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. I had to reach back and really grab a hold of that.
For the past 10 years, Mike Callahan has dedicated his life to public service. From Akron Municipal Court Administrator to Assistant Summit County Prosecutor for Lynn Slavey, Mike Callahan's commitment to people has remained constant. Mike Callahan has made our community safer by putting some of Akron's most notorious criminals behind bars.
I was the assistant prosecuting attorney at the time. It's certainly one of my more memorable cases. Basically 50 witnesses in 4 days. These were all victims, people who've been robbed and placed in the coolers or in the freezers in some of their cases. There was at least 1 or 2 occasions that I recall that they didn't use a walk-in cooler, they used the freezer, and theoretically, because of the low temperatures, they could have died in there.
They had to be put in the freezer. So what happened was, after we did it, I called the police department and said this place just got robbed. So the lady wouldn't, you know, die or nothing like that because they was in the freezer. Everybody else that we ever put was going in the coolers, and it's different. And she was older.
Fortunately for them, somebody got there in time, those individuals, and got them out, but they were pretty cold.
I wasn't prepared to go in there with the intentions of shooting or killing somebody. I was just going in there, let's get the money, and then be gone.
Nobody was shot, and to my recollection, I don't believe anybody was injured.
I was going into that courtroom every day, seeing my son shackled, handcuffed, sitting there looking at me, waving and saying hi, and he's sorry. He told me he was sorry. And then we had an episode at the courthouse. He tried to escape.
The judge was not happy with him. He had been nothing but trouble throughout the entire trial. He told the judge to perform an unnatural sex act on himself, and he certainly showed no remorse.
It was case closed after he acted out, after he said some things that were very disparaging to the judge and some things that he shouldn't have said.
The last robbery went on, there was an old lady there, and she was on the stand. Prosecutor had asked her what was she thinking or what was she doing while she was in the cooler. And she said, I'll never forget this. She said, I was praying. And the prosecutor said, what were you praying about? She was like, I was praying for my safety, and I was praying for the safety of my coworkers. She said, but more importantly, I was praying for the boys. And the prosecutor asked her, who are you talking about? She said, the guys that were robbing us. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And when she said that, I'm almost sure I started to cry.
Here in Akron, the 3 so-called Cooler Bandits were sentenced today. Frankie Porter got 27 years on gun charges, plus 12 consecutive 10 to 25-year terms. Co-defendants Charles Kelly and Richard Roderick received 9 years on gun charges each and 60 to 150 for kidnapping and robbery.
I took a plea bargain that had 3 and 3 running together for a total of 16 to 50 years.
You know what? Unto this day, and people may not believe this, but until this day, I never knew how much time my child got. I didn't want to know. I didn't care. I knew that I was going to be there for him.
I knew Judge Bear well. I knew the type of judge he was. I knew the type of sentencing judge he was. He was an old-time conservative law and order judge. Back in those days, people that went to trial got a more healthy sentence to discourage you from going to trial, to discourage you from taking up 3 weeks of the court's time and bringing these victims in and putting them through that same type of trauma. It sent a message to the guy who was set for trial the next week, for better or for worse.
When you commit a crime, you deserve to be punished, but the vindictive cycle that was attached to the punishment was hard to bear. It really was.
I screamed out. I cried. And I told him, don't worry about it. When they said it's in that 200 to 501 years, I thought that was a bit much.
Judge made a decision that he should never see the light of day.
My future got took away when I got sentenced. I don't see how you can take a life when a person ain't took a life, but they do it.
They was making an example of us. Then the fact that they was looking for the people doing these robberies all this time, and then they saw we was kids, and I don't know, it was from the fact that they went all these months and couldn't catch some kids and it upset them or something like that, but they made sure we wasn't gonna leave kids.
Oh, Lord. I was just devastated. Devastated.
They were treated harshly. There's no doubt about it. Now 20 years later and 20 years older and 20 years more experienced, I look back and I say, yes, they were treated harshly. The question is, did they deserve to be treated harshly?
I'll be the first to admit punishment was necessary. I'll be the first to admit that the actual punishment changed my life. But the way the system works, I don't think 17 years later, I still should be here.
Our society demands that people that commit the type of crimes they do are treated harshly. The question is, do they get a second chance?
Donovan, everybody in the thing, we just sending y'all a video for Christmas to say Merry Christmas and just to let y'all know we all right down here, understand?
I was headed for prison long before I committed those crimes. The mindset I had started developing was leading me to prison.
That was me. If I wouldn't have went to jail in 1991, if I hadn't been to jail, I probably would have been dead by 92.
Women with you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Pops, what happened to that girl that, you had here, when I was up there? What happened to her?
I don't think we seemed like we was bad kids or everything, but then made this mistake and it just changed everything.
A lot of people look at prison like it's a timeout or it's not part of your life. But actually it is your life. It's just in a small little confined area.
Thank God the first years of my incarceration were with two people that mean a lot to me, Charlie and Poochie. We just held each other down. We protected each other, and we made it so that each of us could grow.
Okay, now, you want to tell everybody we love them?
Hey, they heard that, man.
They can hear all that. Okay.
All right, we holler at y'all later.
Fade to black, fade to black.
Been left for dead. I know what's in the back of your head. You've been left for dead. You better than that, yeah, yeah. You've been so downstream, so downriver to the cousin of the king.
At 18 years old, maybe 110 pounds, they sent him to Rufus Penitentiary in the state of Ohio.
6 inmates are now dead, 8 prison guards still being held hostage after a riot at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville. It broke out yesterday afternoon. This prison houses the state's worst offenders.
That was just a vindictive measure. And you know, I am not to judge anyone, but somebody got to, in the aftermath of everything, you know, but thank God we got a Jesus.
This is Mr. Jones right here. He runs a real tight ship.
I basically stay out the way for the most part. I've been in a few programs. I was able to get my GED, and you know, I do a lot of reading and stuff like that, but other than that, just basically work out, keep myself together.
A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U.
Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam. A lot of people come to prison and they think they're a different person. Me, I know I'm still capable of the things I used to do, the things I did do. Allahu Akbar. Astaghfirullah. But I won't, because I understand there's consequences to all of those actions. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I grew up in prison, and although I spent most of my time here trying to change and better myself, but everything I know and learned is theoretical. The stuff I learned about raising a child and child rearing, I read in a book. There's no actual experience with it. I learned about manhood in the book. Islam taught me about being a real man, but as far as in interacting in society, it's still theoretical for me. So the actual experience, the life experience that you gain from living and being in society, is the thing that I missed out on the most.
So what's on your mind, youngin?
My co-defendant and myself are looked up as legends in our neighborhood, and I don't want to leave that view of me. I want to counteract the idea of Poochie.
When we went in as all we got is us. We were together, and they knew if I messed with Poochie, Charlie coming, and Donovan coming. If I messed with Donovan, Charlie and Poochie coming. And that's what was so unique about our situation, because a lot of people in prison, they can't go to nobody and be like, man, I love you. You know what I'm saying? But with Charlie and Poochie, It wasn't nothing for me to be like, I love you, man, or I love you. And in prison, to have that kind of connection at that time, that's what made our situation so rare. And so many people was in there jealous of us because we had each other and we didn't really care about outside of us.
It's my brother. I mean, you get to a point in your life where you understand the relationships you made with people is very important.
The dates on these, 2000s and 7s. On prison, in order to get by and survive, you have to wear a mask. Probably the majority of the time you hear. And to have someone who actually knows you, who you can take the mask off for however long you have to take it off and just talk and be yourself around, it's a great help. We've been around each other for so long and been in each other's life for so long that it's more family-like. Every time we meet and greet or we part, I hear him tell me, I love you, man. And that gets me through my day. To be able to just let my hair down and be who I am, it makes the doing the time a whole lot easier. I hate that he's here with me, but it's a blessing that if we both gotta do it, we can do it together.
That's where we make money at. Some people like to flip drugs or flip houses or do backflips. I flip cars. I like flipping cars.
I got out in November 2003. What I've been doing is just staying focused.
Was it easy?
When I got out, yeah, it was easy. And a lot of people will say, that's crazy, it ain't easy out here, but it was easy because I never lost focus of where I came from. So anything I did once I got out here was nothing compared to what I already did. I just did 12 and a half, almost 13 years in prison. If I can survive that, getting out here is a cakewalk.
All I do all day is work, work.
In order to survive and to make it, you have to find a reason to be out here. And for years, my reason for being free was just to make my mom proud of me. But when I had my son and then my daughter, my reason not just to be free, but my whole reason to exist changed. And now I feel like my purpose in life is to leave a legacy for my children, to be proud of. You know what I mean? I don't want my kids just to be like, my dad went to jail and that's it. You gotta find a reason to stay free. Prison is a mental thing. And to see people mentally break under the pressure, that's probably the hardest thing. A guy hung himself in the cell and we could sit there and look out of our cell door right across into his cell and see him hanging there. The realization sitting there that I could die, you know what I mean? I could die at any minute. I would say the worst, me and Charlie was in the cell and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And you just heard this scream for the CO, like, CO, CO. We find out the next day when we get out that a guy had killed his cellie. And at night, a CO can't open the door without other COs being there. So had this CO stepped outside of protocol for a second and opened this door, this young guy would still be alive. It was a young white guy. That was one of the craziest things. And I didn't even see it. It's just, I could still hear that scream, and it's 10, 12 years later, and I could still, it's like, I never heard that scream again. That was deep.
Unconsciously, I think I detached myself from the loss of family because I had a lot of family members that died. And I felt very little emotion. My aunt just died, and I don't feel too hurt. It's one of the things I struggle with, trying to reattach myself to those normal feelings that a human should have. This is a normal situation. Family members die. What should be my response to this? And this is a consequence of being in prison and things of this nature. But I'm sure it'll come back.
You know I lost my brother. Man, John, you trying to make me cry in front of these women, man. That's about it. I've been dealing with that. You know, I still lightweight can't believe it. But it seems like it's not really gonna fully kick in until I get home. But other than that, you know, I just been making it, just doing the time. Yeah.
I moved out to cell with Charlie. I went to Marion, and me and Rex became cellies for 3 years. So after 6 or 7 years in the cell with one brother, I go somewhere else and me and another brother in the cell for 3 years. You know, so what he was to me and what he still is to me is like, it's just hard. Like, I like never imagined life out here without him. It was just bad, like real bad.
You know, I know a lot of people lose loved ones and everything, but by the fact that I've been gone since I was, I had just turned 20, now I'm 37, and all them years I missed with him.
It's like all of my children are gone, and I'm heartbroken.
It's been a long, long time coming, but I know.
Man, I think about him every day. Just to think I'll never see him again, that really affects me sometimes, you know?
Me, Charlie, and Poochie was kids when we got locked up. We don't know about paying bills, family obligations. You know what I mean? When I came home, it was just a theory of what being a man was. It was all in theory. It's impossible for me to put in words all the preparation in the world in prison, all the books we can read, all the things, stories we can listen to. Nothing truly prepares you to be out here but being out here.
Man, I don't even want to talk about Donovan.
Nah, we don't have much contact.
Why's that?
I don't know. I would like an answer to that to myself. You would think that all that we went through and him actually knowing the struggle that we go through, there would be a lot more contact, but it's not.
I never expected to leave Charlie behind or to not be there for him or Poochie. That was never my intention. But on these streets, one day becomes 2 days so quick. 2 days becomes a week becomes a month. The next thing you know, it's a year. You know, and I just want them to be free.
It's just hard to believe, dudes. All the time. They just say they just can't believe how he did it. I couldn't imagine going home and just leaving him behind. And it's not like it's about no money or anything, but you're one of my closest friends. Who gonna give me a better perspective of what's going on out there than you, you know? We did this time together.
I probably can go around this house right now and get you at least 10 letters that I wrote to Charlie and Poochie over the time, right? And this is what really hurt, is that when I got to the point where I realized what it was, and I was taking his mom down to see him one day, and the same day I took his mom down to see him, the previous day I got a letter from Charlie saying some of the stuff and how he felt, you know what I mean? And it's like, I still took her down there, but knowing how he felt, it was never intentional. You know what I'm saying? I would never.
His actions speak louder than anything he could say. His concern for me or his love for me isn't as true as he said it was, or as I believe it is.
It took me a long time. I was bitter about a lot of things. I guess I kind of blame myself for not doing more, you know, because and I still live with that to this day, of thinking that I could have did more as a parent, more as a father. You know, you can only blame yourself so much, but with the help of my girls and my family, I was able to, you know, come up out of it.
Well, it was hard at first, but sometimes I go into slumber like every 6 months. Sometimes I get like that, get sad, and cry.
A lot of times when I do put myself in bad situations, I don't think about the repercussions at the time. I had a female friend who I was close with, and a friend of mine had a brother. So together we devised a plan for them to rob a bank in Akron while I was on the phone. The person that was robbing the bank ended up getting caught. The U.S. Marshals came down there and got me. Then I got sentenced from the federal system. They gave me like 12 years after this sentence.
They give you a sentence like that, and they kill all hope of everything at 18. At 18, they say, you know what, you deserve to rot in prison. That's what they tell you, you know. And then when it comes around and something else happens, they say, well, look, he's still doing crazy things. Well, when you eliminate all hope, what do you expect?
It sounds, you know, how could you, are you crazy, you know, but in his situation, 200, 20, 35, 200 to 500 something years, you've not taken a life, but yet his, no hope.
I guess I seen the look on my mother's face. It's like a look that I'll just never forget. It was one of those looks of saying that, you know, I'm tired. And that right there, it just did something to me, and it just woke me up. And since then, I haven't been in any trouble at all.
Prison, since the time I got locked up, has changed. It went from being a physical type of environment. Now it's more psychological. The day-to-day monotony of the same routine makes you feel real powerless over your own life. You have little pieces of joy in prison. My father only got to see me one time while I was here. Sometimes it was like I wasn't even in prison, so it would bring a sense of peace over. The furlough program is a program where when you get 6 months towards the end of your sentence or before you go to the parole board, they send you to a halfway house where it helps you to transition back into society. I had a furlough hearing just this past Friday, and they approved me for a furlough. So 6 months before my normal date, which is somewhere around the end of May, beginning of June, I'll be in a halfway house.
Happy for him. He's my best friend on the planet Earth, so I'm happy to see him getting his freedom and everything. I wouldn't want him to see him still here with me, you know. And it's just like, you know, basically he just gonna be there before I am. Tell him how you been acting for the last month.
I've been going crazy. Why? Because you know when you get a projected release date, it's not final until you actually leave. So they can, I guess, rescind it or change their mind. And being locked up over the years, I've seen a lot of guys get out dates and have time to go home and something bad happens to them while they're here and they never make it home. So this is on my mind, and it's like, it was making me kind of paranoid.
Well, at 10:30 tomorrow morning, you're going to be walking out these doors. How does that make you feel?
Until I'm, like I said, up until the day you leave, they can come, you know, change their mind. So until 10:31, I'm outside, and then I'll probably feel, you know, the true impact of finally being able to go home.
Yeah. Whole rider room out of here.
Yeah,
You seem kind of nervous.
I got opposite feelings. I'm excited but nervous, anxious but fearful. You know, for every good emotion I have, I seem to have a negative one.
Just him on his way out the door made me feel like I'm on my way. Man.
Somebody called me on the phone and told me, and if you ask that person about it, they'll tell you I rejoice like it was me getting out. Because like I said, I want them to be free. You know, I want them to experience, I want for them what I want for myself. You know, I don't want, they can hate me to death, they can love me to death, but I still want them to do it on this side of the fence. Time heals all wounds.
Turn it in, you'll sign it, bring it back to me.
Okay.
What's up, man? All right, there's a pair of sweats. Go in that room and change.
Okay.
Take that locker box, take it down to the end of the other one. That's empty, right?
No. Do I empty this stuff in that bag in here?
Yeah, clear.
All right, go ahead and look straight ahead. And look towards the door so you get a side view.
Sign my full name?
Yes. There you go.
Thank you.
This is your transitional control ticket. It's telling you that you're going to the Community Control Center in Canton, Ohio, okay? I just need a signature right there, first and last name.
I don't gotta put my number there, do I?
No. So you don't have to write that anymore.
Yeah.
So this is where the magic takes place.
I need you to print a street address, city, state, zip code, which is your forwarding address, signature, and number for me.
Man, I can't remember a home address.
Okay.
I've been here for 19 years.
Okay. You got 8492. Your money goes to the officer. You get the money on the way out the door.
You go out, no yelling and screaming on the compound. Somebody saying goodbye to you, give them away, tell them, oh, happy day.
Okay, Mike. Okay, Wes. Okay. Yeah. Walaikum salam. Where I go? You gonna see me?
Well, let's hope not, right?
Richard. Okay. How you work this contraption?
Sam, I'm in the city, my nigga, I'm in the city. I see cars. Hey, I see people walking in the street. Yeah. I'm back. I can breathe. I love you too. I can breathe again. There go the mailman. I ain't seen the mailman in 20 years. All right. Salam alaikum. All right. Love you too, man. Salam alaikum.
Yes, this is Donovan Harris with Official Transportation. With the economy being what it is, my child support is suffering. I've only been doing the freight brokering for 2 months, and it's getting to the point where it's really starting to grow, and I'm really starting to make good money doing it. But it's going to be a process. The hardest thing in my life ever, harder than over a decade in prison, harder than the parole board, harder than going to the hole, harder than anything, is to be in the same city as my children and not be able to see them.
How much points I got? 8.
8 is great. And the reason why I don't just go get them or go see them is because when a person will call the police on you and make up stuff, with my record, it just don't, I can't win. I won't win.
You excited?
Yeah, I you know how Tony Tiger say, I feel great. Hey, son.
Hey.
You got your own quarters. They even have your own quarters. Yeah. Yeah.
I got some money too.
You got some money? Ooh. How you feel to be out?
I can feel it now. I see you. Before it didn't feel, you know.
Yeah.
Nah, I feel
you
it.
got your own ring.
So how long is it so far?
Ah, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
man.
outside,
Yeah, I love it. I slept in a real bed last night.
Your own bed.
Yeah.
Your own.
I got to take a shower all by myself.
That's how I feel about my apartment. Ain't nobody there but me. I do what I want to do, how I want to do, you know. And some wait, this just a taste of
Yeah.
once you leave here. How long you had to stay here?
6 months,
And so you gonna parole for how long?
13 months.
Yeah, that's the same.
But I could get a job or go to school or do both while I'm here.
Well, what you decide you gonna do?
Both. When I got to sit down and hug my mom without being supervised and scrutinized, it really set in that I'm almost home. I got a key to my own room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got.
So nobody got to open it for me no more. I
You
let
ain't got to
myself
worry
out.
about nobody
Yeah.
slamming it.
I started regaining my freedom when I began to change my life around. So that's something they can't really give you. You have to take that yourself.
Boston. Our free gift wrapping.
656 is 27. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The people at the halfway house, they help. Some of the rules and regulations are counterproductive, but the program in and of itself is an excellent program. Because I think I would have had a more difficult time if you'd have just dropped me off in my neighborhood and told me to go for what I know. It's a struggle, but believe me, it's better than where I came from. Like my dude Chuck say all the time, man. He'll trade these problems for the problems he got in the joint any day of the week.
From seeing him every day, to camaraderie we had. You know, we've been around each other for so much of our lives. We spent more time with each other than we spent with our family. But I was happy to see him leave because I knew once he left, I was closer to freedom. I have a parole hearing coming up soon. 20 years in this place, like, people come down here all the time that know me from the street talking about how much I changed, and I be trying to tell them 15, 20 years to change you too. This is not the place to be. On a good note, it'd be the first time, you know, I really had a chance to live. So, you know, the things I was looking for when I was out there, I'm not looking for no more. Instant gratification, I know it's gonna take time for me to get to where I need to be, but I welcome the journey. I can't wait.
I am Nicole, and I'm Poochie's cousin on his dad's side. I am helping to prepare for the welcome home celebration for Poochie. He is going to come in under the surprise that is an event for his mother and find out that all his friends and family are here to welcome him back home after 19 years of being incarcerated. I need to take down these messages from Chuck.
How you do it?
Yeah, this how you do it. This is the way you do it.
Hey, man. Hold on, man. Hey. What's up, bro? How are you?
I'm good.
Hey.
Hi, sweetheart. How you doing?
Okay. Hey, little Tasha. Big Tasha now. Hey.
So you surprised?
Yes, I'm super surprised.
Yeah.
And you knew too?
What's this right here? You might go to California?
Yeah, they trying to get me a school out there.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, Charles. Man, my head, man, kind of, you know, everywhere. Yeah. Tiffany, this is Charles. Charles, this is my baby, Tiffany. We met while I was in prison. I was working, reading to the kids in the reading room. So I seen her with her brother. And I asked her brother about it. Don't try to act like you wasn't asking about me.
I wasn't.
You ain't asking about me at all?
When you asked about me, didn't you?
I just want to thank everybody for coming, and this is a blessing. 19 years, and you know what? Most of us thank God for that He spared my life to see my son come home. Yes.
7 years ago, my uncle asked me to do something, and to this day, I'm committed to doing it. So the one thing that I know that will make this day perfect for Poochie is for his father to be here. So from me to you is a portrait of you and your dad.
Thanks for coming. Little Cuz, okay. Little Shatora. Little Manny, Nina Boo. Donovan kept telling me, man, he said, man, as soon as you get out, man, he said, they're gonna be pulling you in 1,000 different directions. He said, everybody gonna pull you in 1,000 different directions. So his advice was, find your lane and stay in it. That's how you stay out of trouble, man. That's how you stay out the way. My first day to go job seeking, he came, picked me up, and we got in the car, and you know, and he explained to me what happened. He didn't pull no punches, he didn't lie about it. He said, man, I got caught up. I got out, and Charlie's brother Rex came, and they started treating him like he was a rock star, and he felt like he was a rock star. But now that I'm out here, I can understand that it's easy to say, okay, I'm gonna write Charlie, and tomorrow.
Going to see the parole board. Nervous. I just officially got nervous, you know. Feeling like under the law, you know, I'm overdue to be free, but I know you can't always plan the way life gonna turn out, so I'm fairly confident that I'll get a parole, but you know, anything can happen. I think it's time for me to get up out of here.
What's up?
What's up? They let me go.
Got my parole, something I've been waiting for 20 years. Thinking about living again, you know? Living as a free man for the first time. When I started looking at the paperwork, it was like, sound like the grown people on the Charlie Brown cartoons. I ain't hear nothing. I decided to pick the halfway house because, honestly, I recognized that a lot of my old acquaintances, you know, wasn't living positive lifestyles, and I didn't want to be involved in it. You know, as far as living by myself, I've never done it. Never had a job. So I figured that they'd help me on the road to getting a job. 40 years old, had a birthday yesterday. I'm not trying to be a statistic. I can't possibly give no more time. I can't take no chances. Really don't have no fear because I plan on doing the right thing, you know?
Out the way, no straight.
All right, Kelly.
Okay.
Good luck to you.
All right, thank you. How you do this? How am I supposed to figure this out?
What are you trying to do?
Touch it? What the? Y'all take it easy. Man. This car is moving and feel like I'm in a spaceship. Man. Man, it's unbelievable. Man. Hello? Who is this? This mommy? What's happening? I'm on my way. Yeah. I don't know how long it'll be before we get there. About an hour. Yeah. I know you are. How you doing? Man, wonderful. I can't wait to see you. Mom, you sound so good. Yeah. Man. Mom, I'm finally on my way. Let's go. Man, this looks so different around here.
Oh, Charlie. Oh,
I'm here, man. What's happening?
you. Oh, my God.
I'm here.
Oh, my God. I got my brother home. You feel it? Yeah. Man. It's like a 16-pack right here.
Working out for 20 years, that'll happen too.
Right.
Yeah.
Another day, another couple dollars. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. In prison, it's a real closed environment. 100 and some odd people in the dorm. So you have to deal with them. You have to interact with them on a regular basis. So this is like a safe haven for me. I'm 38. I'm sleeping on the bottom bunk of a kid's bunk bed in my sister's house. I make $9 an hour, and I have a child on the way. So that really gets to me, you know. I wanted to be able to go to school first because I don't have any children. I wanted to be able to explore any option or any opportunity that came my way. But when you have a child, that's hard to do. The next thing is to finish filling out these college applications, man. Try to find some time to write these essays. Every morning, like when I go to work, the first hour is pretty slow. So in my head as I'm working, I'm writing. And a lot of times it's hard to get the words out of my head on paper or in the computer, you know, 8 hours later. And finding the space and time to hear the voice in my head.
Look, she look.
All right.
Love you,
All right,
mommy.
man. Hey.
This is your bed right here. And this will be your locker.
Well, you know, the main purpose of this tape, right, is for y'all to see and y'all, you know, let some women check it out. Check some bra.
How I feel to be.
Man, good, man. I was just telling them that, man. Getting out them stay clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You go through life, the older you get, you know, you realize to have genuine friends is hard to come by.
When I first got out, it was different. It was November '03. The economy was different. It was easier to do a lot of things. Money was way better. It was just different. It ain't that I like, they in there, they cool. It was just, I get a letter from you, and I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? You remember you wrote, I'm like, why would he, you know what I'm saying? But I can understand you feeling that way because I got left in there by people that went home. You know what I mean? Like when Rex, blessed day, when Rex went home, you know what I mean? I got left in there by him, but when I got out, he got me. Then people coming home from Richland saying, Charlie said you a piece of shit. When I seen you, I never was like defensive or nothing like that. It was always when they come home, they'll understand or they'll see what it is. And then from that point on, if we choose to rock, if we choose to kick it, if we choose to never speak again, as long as y'all free, I'm cool.
I mean, I don't want no beef, you know. You know, Donovan, you know, you got to spend precious time with my brother, you know, that I ain't get to have. So, you know, it's things, you know, that I'm going to want to know about that only you can tell me because you got that time with him that I didn't. I feel things would have been different if I'd have got out first. You know, I know, you know, you did your thing and life hit you and all that, but y'all was part of my life. I spent more time with y'all than I spent with my family. I felt the things that we said to each other, you know, meant something. But when things don't go as planned, you know, all you can do is move on. You know, and it wasn't like I was specifically telling people you was a piece of shit. People was like, man, what's up with Donovan? He doing good. I know he looking out for you. I'm like, no, I'm just telling people the truth. You know, I lied for a minute, but I'm just telling people the truth. I'm like, no. They like, what? Oh, that nigga a piece of shit. When I go home, I'ma holler at him and this and you know, you do what you do. But I ain't never been the type of person to just talk bad about somebody just because. You know, because I still had love for you. We've been through a lot. Like you said, we here now. I ain't mad at nobody. You know, we can get over it.
That whole situation with your brother, man, that was like the worst thing that ever happened. That was like, I mean, that's some undescribable pain. And what multiplied it by 10 was seeing your mom, and then what multiplied that by 20 is knowing what you sitting there going through. You know what I mean? It's just like...
A couple people said you ain't been right since he died.
What? How can I? You know what I'm saying? It's like a piece is gone. When he passed, it's like, it just ain't been right. Ain't nothing, it ain't been right. And now you here without him, this wasn't never the plan. You know what I mean? I can't apologize to y'all for what I did because I don't apologize for my life. At times I could have looked out more, I could have did more, yeah. And there's gonna be times where y'all gonna feel like sitting back, damn, I could do more, or I could do this, or I could do that.
Yeah.
Man, ready to get to life, man. Ready to take on all the challenges.
In my resume, what will I say about the games I had to play to try to get my way? In my resume.
Check on 12. ABC. Barber College is going wonderfully. It's a whole lot better than where I came from. My plan is to have me a barbershop by the time I graduate. I look towards the future. You know, it was a time that I didn't think past the day. I'm trying to take advantage of every opportunity, man.
Here's your key.
Okay.
Here's your receipt.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
I have no reservations renting to Charlie. I have felonies myself, and I just don't judge people by that.
Now, but I'm 6 months in. I don't plan on giving this freedom back. I understand what it is now. Already beat the odds because people were expecting me to be locked up again by now.
Su casa, mi casa.
Yeah, don't lean back too hard on the couch.
This is nice.
Yeah. It's not a sale.
It's not a sale.
Hey.
That's amen. That's how they do. That's how they do in the deaf ministry church. I said, y'all beating up God. We're like, okay, what y'all gonna do? You gotta share. And share? Oh, God, we can't. food, thank you.
The one Poochie grabbed it. The one Poochie grabbed with his hand.
Don't say that.
Like
It's delicious. And I know what to say, son.
Where's the car?
That saves money in the long run.
Right. See, that's the kind of input that we're talking about. So,
So fast, should I put some more rolls in?
Well, no, Ma, we'll just make this right now.
Okay.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Omnipotent Father, thank you for this food we're about to receive, for nourishing our body for Christ's sake. Amen.
Amen. All right, that's something different.
What else you want?
Well, you know, be gone.
If he kick him, I'm gonna kick you.
Have him at my door.
Every time we have family dinner, it's just not complete. There's always a missing chair. I know all of our chairs are filled, but he's in my vid. He's always across from me, and I really miss him, and I'm overwhelmed when I think about the goodness of God and how He has preserved our family. I just really believe in my heart, and I know that He's going to be around this table, this very table, with us, eating, and that's when we'll be complete.
And I'm dark. I had a dream. I said, well, it's probably gonna be it. They try to fool me today, and then my son gonna come downstairs.
Okay, it's a folder. Here we go. Dear Richard, congratulations on behalf of Mission Committee. I am delighted to inform you that you have been admitted as a new resource student at Pitzer College for the fall of 2011. The Pitzer community welcomes you with the expectations that your experience here will be both challenging and rewarding. We are proud of the characteristics of scholarship, integrity, and social responsibility exemplified by Pitzer students, and we are confident that you will contribute to this tradition.
The beginning of many sleepless nights.
Here's little Amira. She's coming to this world.
She peeing on me already. See, look, she's smiling. It's about time.
What you gonna do about the doctor's appointment tomorrow?
What time is it? 1 o'clock?
11.
This check gonna be 3 days, for only 3 days.
So then if I miss tomorrow, because I would have to miss tomorrow, it'll be another one for 4 days. And driving back and forth here is like $20 a day.
It feels pretty good to be cleaning my own place. We are in the Northside Social Club. What it is just a chance or an opportunity to start giving something back to the community. We are looking to do a bunch of things with the youth so they won't end up going down the same road as the Cooler Bandits. It wasn't really a court thing with me not seeing my kids. It was just the mother's decision at the time where she thought it might be best if we went through the courts or if we got official visitation rights through the courts rather than just being able to get my kids whenever I felt like it or whenever they wanted to see me, which is almost every day. So eventually she realized that she was doing the kids more harm than anything, and she just decided that it was best if we put the petty stuff aside and focus on our children. That's what we've done.
I think the world happened since the last time we talked. I lost the apartment. You have to pay money to work here. You have to pay booth rent. And on top of that was rent. And I want the world, man. I just don't want to deal with the problems. But that's an impossibility. You got to deal with everything the world have to offer, but I don't want to. It's like, I had to deal with that for so long, man. I just want to smile and be happy. I was out with Donovan last night. That's why I got these big bags under my eyes. Yeah. And we kicked it. Proud of Poochie, man. Because being here, I think things would have turned out differently. Not saying that he would be dead or in prison, but as far as the positive energy that's in his life, man, he motivates me.
This is me about to board my plane. First stop, Denver. Next stop, California. Kind of anxious and nervous at the same time. A whole bunch of mixed emotions, especially about leaving my daughter and my mom. But it's necessary in order to provide a better life for both of them, so I gotta go. When I was leaving from Charlie's house, when Donovan came to get me, it was like leaving prison again. Those same mixed feelings about leaving guys that I met or grew up with, did 19, 20 years with. I got that same feeling again. I want to go, but I want to stay.
When you're so long gone, you can't help yourself. When you're so dead wrong.
Look, y'all, palm tree. Los Angeles, California. Mama, I made it.
And baby's still living with the sea.
My name is Richard. I'm a new resource student, torn between psychology and economics, and I'm from Ohio.
And if you come looking for a hard time, Hard times ain't hard to find because we're given that lifeline. Only once in a lifetime, baby, we was born. Baby, we were born to be sure to endure when the storm comes. Got them sad eyes, got cat eyes, got the angels tied, saving his life, and you bet to contain yourself before you end up killed. Yeah, his bare feet touching her bare feet, the air breeze sweet near mountains peak, and I forgot what the wise man said about that ancient thread. And if you come looking for hard times ain't hard to find because we're given that life.
I done been through a bunch of different emotions about being out here. Like at first when I was out here, I was feeling guilty about being out here first and foremost, like leaving people behind. And when I got out here and there was nothing around that was familiar to me, so it was stifling. It was hard for me to adjust and adapt. I had kind of like a little breakdown, and I just couldn't take it, and I was about to hop a plane and go back, but I for some reason I wanted to talk to my academic advisor. I talked with her, man, and I don't even know how it happened, man. Next thing I know, I'm crying. I'm up in her office in tears, and I'm about to leave, and she wouldn't let me leave. She stopped me and we sat down and we talked through it. When I first came out here, it was like, man, I don't relate to nobody. I feel isolated and alienated. And like now, almost 2 years later, it's like it's hard for me to see anything other than, the lifestyle I'm living now.
Man, you got a lot to say.
A lot been happening.
At first I was like, damn, how Pooch could just leave his daughter like that? But then when you think about it and you see where you at now, think about how many people passed away while you was here. You know what I mean? Think about the things dealing with the people that's in our lives collectively that would affect you being where you are if you was in Akron. Think about the things you could be involved in Akron. You had to leave. You had to.
So what's the life of a barber like?
Trying to balance a career and trying to be successful and trying to live your life at the same time. But, still ain't where I want to be.
I didn't think.
Man, just say shit.
I didn't think, for real, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think you would finish barber school until I saw you get up at, no matter what time of morning, you could come in at 4 in the morning. Lay down for an hour and get right back up. We done been tailoring together, we done been to college together, and you ain't finished none of that stuff, man. You didn't finish none of it, man.
I don't know how many times this dude called me like, you all right? And I'm like, how did I get to school? He like, man, you don't remember I dropped you off? That happened several times, but it's like everybody that was in my circle knew where I had to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't dress myself or nothing, and I'd wake up in the barber chair, they'd be like, Charles, got a cut. And I wake up, be like, how did I get here?
Well, you've been out here for so long, you see so many people come out and fail. Go straight back. They come out, don't make it off parole, go straight back. It's like we're a success story. You know what I mean? If you really look at it, I met you in '89. I met him in grade school. It's 30 and almost 30 years of knowing each other. And we sitting in California on the back porch in front of a palm tree talking.
You reach a certain age and sometimes people give up, or I don't know what it is, but it's people getting degrees at 50 years old. This man gonna have his PhD in a minute. It's like ridiculous. I'm like, I used to sell drugs with this man. You know?
Never.
Oh, yes, you did.
No,
yes, you did.
How much do you think about prison still, Charlie?
Every day.
How much do you think about prison still?
My fondest memories that I can remember was times in the joint, when we was in the joint, and the stuff we had to do to survive. It wasn't that we was in there playing to be playing.
Yeah.
We was in there, keeping our sanity
staying tight together as we was doing. And part of keeping your sanity is making each other laugh, man. Keep your mind. We ain't gonna mention that.
Okay, no problem. No problem. The prison part was a big part of our life, and we'll never be able to give it back, escape it. I did what I did. We all did what we did. We chose to do what we did. We did the time we did. But now we got a whole world that's just open to us. You know what I mean? We could do whatever we want to do again. And as far as Frankie is concerned, hopefully some kind of relief can be, man, his mama deserved to see him again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Free.
Gonna be the mistake.
Virgo, that's me. Make others feel good about themselves, and they will feel good about you. Nobody likes to get old in prison. You know, regardless of how bad my situation gets or looks, I'll never just give up. Because I think that one day, you know, something will happen. How long it's gonna be, don't know, but I just feel that one day something will happen.
I truly believe that life is about chances. I would just like my brother to be given one. I won't be content and I won't be settled until I see him free. And I've told my kids that if anything ever happens to me and he's still there, they know that the next generation is to make sure that my brother is okay and that he's looked after and that he's seen about.
I just know that one day he's coming home. I just know it. And when I write him, I tell him that all the time. I say, Snoop, just keep your head up, because he's coming. Just believe. That's all we have to do is believe. And the more faith that he has now, the more strength that he has. And he's just like, man, I believe that. I don't care how much time that he has, and I don't care what kind of monster that they've painted him out to be. I just know that one day we're going to see him home, and he's going to see freedom. And then that day we'll all be free. So that's the day we're waiting on.
Hey,